So we'll just start off as we typically do with our round of introductions of everyone on the call. So when it comes to you, if you could say your name, where you're calling from, what organization with, and what you're currently working on. And thank you. So Avik, you pop up first in the list of attendees. Could you introduce yourself?
Hi guys, this is Avik. I'm working for Contracts right now in Bangalore.
Okay, thanks Avik. And then Dana, do you want to say hello in a word or two?
Yeah, hi everybody. It's Dana Hurk. I'm with Mifos, and I'm working madly on your documentation for the end user.
Dana's down in Belize now. And then Joseph, you want to introduce yourselves?
Hello everyone, my name is Joseph. I'm calling from Uganda.
Okay.
And I provide support to Mifos.
Okay. Thanks for joining today, Joseph. And then Malik, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone, I'm Malik from Costing Technologies, which is based in Lagos. This is our first attendance to this call, so we're looking at deploying Mifos for some of our customers in Nigeria, but we're just getting started, so we hope to gain today that will help us going forward. I'm currently based in Canada, so I'm taking this call from Toronto, but we're looking at Nigeria as our deployment.
Okay. Thank you, Malik, for joining today, and glad to have you as part of our community. Then Mike, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, this is Michael Kelege, Saltfish Technology, Nigeria. I'm working on the collection sheet aspect of Mifos, and also support, supporting about 2 local users who are test running the application in Nigeria, Abuja precisely.
Thanks, Mike. And then Pramod, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everyone, this is Pramod. I work with Complex Technology from Bangalore. And with me, I have Nayan and others from Complex. They'll introduce themselves.
I was having trouble hearing who the others were in the background, but you all can add your names in the notes. Let me send the link to the notes document. So, okay, I see that already. Thanks, Pramod. So.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, and then Sam, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone. Sam Ferguson from World Relief. I'm currently evaluating Mifos for a couple of our NFIs and just generally listening and hear what's new.
Okay, glad to have you join, Sam. Then Tengiz, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Tengiz from Fina, Georgia, and I just hope to learn more about this.
Thanks. Glad to have you again, Tengiz. And then Terrence, do you want to say hello?
Terrence, San Jose Solutions. And I'm doing a project for a client which has a combination of microfinance and cooperative.
Okay. Thanks, Terrence. And we'll be announcing this through the mailing list soon, but we put it up on the blog it's our pleasure to announce that Terrence is our star contributor for the month. So whenever you get the chance, join in thanking Terrence. He's made some important contributions to the community with the Mifos X messenger and the Debian package of Mifos. So we wanted to recognize him for being so generous with his time and talent. Thank you, Terrence, and I'll send around the link to the blog post, and then we'll send it to the mailing list as well. And Vishwas, do you want to say hello?
Yes, hi, this is Vishwas. I'm calling in from Bangalore, India, and I'm one of the Mifos developers.
Okay. And then this is Ed. I'm calling in from California today, and I help to run the community and the Mifos Initiative nonprofit. So I'll kick off by just passing it over to Vishwas and Pramod to give a brief update on development.
Thanks, Ed. So right now we are working on introducing the stronger guarantor functionality. So we are adding the functionality wherein you can block for a loan. You can associate n number of guarantors and declare the percentage of the loan they would be guaranteeing. So a guarantor saving account would be blocked for this amount, and as the loan progresses through its life cycle, the funds would get released from the guarantor saving account. So this is what is used in cooperative banks and in more structured banks. So we're trying to bring these into Mifos. And next we are trying to work on some of the SACO requirements. So we are working on adding client, group, and center level fees into Mifos X. So earlier the only way we could add fees for clients or centers was through having a saving account or a current account for them. But this was not acceptable for a number of organizations who did not want to associate a saving account with the clients, because for reasons like they do not have the license to do so, etc. So we are now going to allow associating just directly to a client account without the need to open the same for a client. So these are some of the major tasks we're working on for this for 1.26 release, along with a number of bug fixes around accrual accounting, and this release should be out in early December, so probably by the 3rd of December.
Okay.
And of course, it should hopefully also include Avik's work around the plugin model for Mifos.
Okay. Thank you, Vishwas. Did anybody have any questions regarding current development or any of the releases they're using right now? And Mike, this might be an opportunity to ask again about the savings functionality you might be working on or you've had the need for, given we have Vishwas and Nayan and others on.
This was hi. Basically, I've been trying to get this recurrent deposit model to actually update the recurring deposit amount, just like we discussed earlier. I showed you the SQL that I've been using to actually do that on the server end, which to me is a bit very unprofessional because working directly from the server when the platform is there might cause certain issues. And we also would like a situation. I've been able to get most of the front end ready for that implementation, but I just need to have the executing get get command to the Mifos platform to actually do an update of the recurrent deposit amount. So that's basically where I'm stuck at. The guarantor's development is fine. It's I just saw the update today, and I've looked through it, and I think it's something that would work. But I'm still worried about there's no way that that you can actually it just works on percentage only, while sometimes you might also need to also work with actual financial amounts instead of saying 10%. Listen, somebody might be more comfortable with instead of maybe implying the guarantee in percentage, might want to use just maybe an amount instead of a percentage. But for now, it's okay. It's working with just percentage, but I think maybe applying amounts to might also make it more simpler for an operator.
Yes, Mike, to answer your second question first, so we actually allow applying an amount. So for every guarantor, we can set an actual amount he would want to guarantee. And as and when the loan gets repaid, this amount would get released from the guarantor's fund. So what we're actually doing is we're blocking the guarantor's savings account for this amount. And with the first question, we might not have the bandwidth to take it up right now, at least till we have 1.26 release out, because we are working on a couple of other functionality also. Bringing in the work done by some specialists like Musoni for rescheduling loans, etc., and adding user interface for them. And we have had some complaints of performance issues with our batch jobs, so that's something which we're looking into right now. So till we get around to fixing these issues, we might not get around to adding mandatory savings.
Okay.
We'll like around only by late December.
Vishwas, I need to Vishwas, I need to add one point. This guarantor thing is not based on percentage; it is based on amount only. Basically, we'll collect only amounts, not the percentage.
Okay, I actually saw.
Okay, thanks, Naman.
Hello?
Percentage, because the initial specs were,
I actually saw percentage as in the loan product level. It only showed percentage, it didn't show loan percentage on guarantors amount and loan on percentage on own amount, which is equal to mandatory percentage.
Yes, Mike, this was a miscommunication from my end. So what we actually support is, you would want to say for a particular loan product, at least some percentage must be guaranteed. And the guarantors would actually give individual amounts, not percentages.
Okay. Right. So, back to my first question, is there a way I can because the reason why that is not actually working, because there's a link that I can use to update it, but you cannot update a current saving product if it is already approved. Is there a way that I can bypass that? Maybe I can do something on my own.
Pramod, would you have any idea how we would do that?
Actually, I didn't get the question. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I said you can. If there's a way one can actually suppress or bypass the check, because you cannot do an update to an account once it has been approved. So if there's a way I can suppress that so that I can, even after the account has been approved, I can still do an update on that.
You mean to say if check is submitted, it should be on board something like that?
Pramod, the question is, now once we create a recurring deposit, and once the recurring deposit is active, we cannot change the amount. So we can change the update API to actually allow us to update the amount, but I'm not sure of the kind of side effects it would have, because so are you aware if there will be any side effects if we directly update, if we allow the update API to change the amount while a recurring deposit is active?
I'm not sure, Vishwa, when we need to check that.
I think one of the main...
actually, you should be able to do this with a small code change, but the side effects we are not sure of.
One of the main side effects.
What the side effects?
One of the main side effects that I think that might arise is, one, you might have the issue of it actually updating amounts that have already been paid, posted in, because of the mandatory deposit table that keeps track of payments. I don't know if the system will go back and have to do refire the SQL that inserts that into the database. Then maybe you might have an issue when it's going to do a recalculation of the interest, because interest is formed in anticipation of the deposit amount coming in before the system starts working. Once the account is created, the system first of all does a projection of maturity amount, then does the projection of interest, and then in the end it gives those projections. It keeps those projections in the database. So I think if you do an update after everything has been activated, I think it might want to trigger those SQL once more in order to redo the calculations again. But at that point, there might be some transactions that have already gone into the database for that account. So I don't know how it might treat those transactions. Maybe it might confuse the system or whatever. So that's the only place that I'm worried about. But if I could bypass that, I would have tested it myself and find out.
Okay, and then maybe we can take additional questions offline, Mike, because we're going to proceed along with the demonstration by Avik. I don't want us to run out of time, but we'll try and, grab some time offline to continue the conversation. And then, if Vishwas, if you could let Mike know, what change he'd need to make at the platform level to allow the API to update. He could test it out some and see what the effects are. And just before we move into Avik's showcase, just wanted to remind everyone again about the announcements we made regarding the summit. So it's going to be in the Dubai area this year, and the dates are March 10th through 13th. And the 13th is going to be a day focused on having a developer sprint. So that last day will be just for developers. So you should have seen details of the summit regarding registration. They're all on the summit website, summit.mifos.org. So please try and block the dates in your schedule and begin preparations for your necessary documents to travel there. And then just the one other item that I'd bring up is we're going to be participating in Google Code-In this December and January. So that's a program targeted towards pre-university students where they work on a number of smaller tasks similar to Summer of Code, but these are all small tasks of 5 hours or less, and they're distributed across various aspects of the project. And so if you're interested in providing some tasks that are related to code, documentation, or outreach and research, let us know, and we'll get those tasks in our list. But that program is going to be starting December 1st, and I thank all the mentors who are going to be helping to shadow the students. So we'll hand it over to Avik for his presentation, and then we'll answer any other questions at the end of the call. So Avik, I'll make you presenter, and then we'll get going. And thank you for showing off your work today.
Okay,
once you all
so
can...
for the code hooks thing, I'll be...
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, let Avik know when you can see his screen. I can see your screen now, Avik. So.
Okay, so should I start?
Yeah, I think go ahead, Avik. That's fine. So.
Yeah. So for the code hooks thing, we'll be covering two main features. One is for any events which are already exposed through the webhook framework. So for any event, a specialist should be able to add a pre-hook and a post-code hook. And a specialist should also be able to give a different implementation for an event and disable the default implementation of Mifos X. So for the sake of completeness, I'm not going to skip any step. So I'll start from scratch. That is like to start your own project. Beside Mifos X, you will need a build URL file. So you can look for one and like generate one automatically using the Spring Initializer. You can name your group and everything, and it will generate a project. Or else, I've written a small blog post here listing all the steps. So just I'm going to take this build URL file because it's already written. The only difference is if you're going to auto-generate from there, just remove all the Spring Boot stuff, because we'll be locally installing Mifos X and including it as a dependency in our plugin project. And don't forget, if you download from Spring Boot, don't forget to include Maven local and this Penta repository URL. So just copy this. Now that the build is done, we'll just go to that folder and do a clean eclipse to generate the files. I think the blog thing might have like added some brackets or something. We'll just go with this. Generate. So I have a build URL file here. I'm going to remove the Spring Boot stuff. Just I'm trying to get a minimalistic build file. We don't really need these dependencies because all of these dependencies will be fetched along with Mifos X. All of Mifos X dependencies will be automatically fetched.
Avik?
Yeah, tell me.
Actually, in the last that build file, right? You missed this one, starting tag.
Okay.
Build script, if you add in that one, whatever you copied from blog, that will work.
Okay. Did I miss it while copy pasting?
No, in your blog itself, it is not there, I think.
Oh, right. Wait.
That starting tag is not there. Like you should give this one. A build script you need to add in front. That's it. That will work.
Let's just see if this works. Okay, so this is working. So we'll just go with this. JSON. After that, we need to go to our Mifos project and locally install it as a dependency in our local M2 cache. So for that, step 2 is installing Mifos X locally as a dependency, which we can see in here. It's getting installed here, the dependency. This will take some time. So we'll go along and import that project first. This install will create all the jar, the sources, and then put it. So this will probably take a minute and a half. Vishal, should I just move to the code part or wait this thing out so that like not skip any of the steps?
You can probably carry on, Avik.
Alright, so have a little patience, guys.
You can probably start explaining the code and the next steps. while this is going on in the background.
Okay, so the next step is like once this is there, I'll do another clean eclipse or refresh dependencies. So along with Mifos X, all of you will see all of the dependencies here. So then I can just create a black page called plugins. This is something for initializing all the hooks which we want to register. This is not showing a source folder. We'll just wait for this thing to finish. So we'll have to initialize this as a service. Like the dependencies are not there yet, and inside AutoWire hook command hook registry. And in the post construct of this, like register hook. Yeah, they'll show it with some existing code which already have the dependency, so that like all these code completion steps are at least shown. So once the build step is done, it will look something like this. All these dependencies will be fetched. So I still have a very clean value file. And we first talk about how to initialize all your Spring Beans. So inside your resources, just create a meta-inf folder and create any file, context file, where you will do your Spring component scanning. But the XML file name should end with context so that it automatically gets picked by Mifos X project. And here in this XML, I've done a basic component scan of the package. I have all the plugins. So this will take care of initializing all your Spring Beans and any entities, right? So the first thing which was showing back then is the hook boot service. I'm autowiring the hook registry and registering. I'll just show this. So command hook type, I've got a list of all the events in Mifos X. So we are just going to write a pre-hook for create client and maybe do some basic validation of age or something, dummy validation. And the class name. So client status validation mode. So I've already written this client status validation mode. So this is another service in which you can auto-wire any of your own services from which got components scanned in your packages or from Mifos X. You can auto-wire anything. Then in your validation hook, you have to implement the command hook interface. Once you do that, you have to implement the pre-hook and the post-hook method. So the pre-hook method will have the JSON command which comes in during the request. So you can do something like command get client ID or long value of parameter named to client something to do with age or something which is already there in client API functions. Okay. Anyways, so we'll just keep a logger here, and you need to construct the command hook result and say whether some error conditions occurred in this piece of code. And post hook, if you don't want to implement anything, you can just keep it as dummy and keep null. So, along with this, we'll also show for a different, how to provide a different implementation for creating a client. Suppose you want to handle how the client is created in a very different way. Okay, so whatever the event name is, create client, you need to append command handler with that, implement that interface, and extend the command handler with hooks abstract class and name your class anything. After that, again, you can inject anything you want as long as you call in your constructor, make a call to the super as the command hook type of this class, create client. And in the actual class command, again, you can do anything using your own repository classes or Mifos X code and return the command processing level. So, yeah, there are no errors, it's just like Eclipse bug which is showing everything. Yeah. So there are three ways of including this project in the class path. So the way of, while you're like still doing iterations in the ID on how to do it best, you can just include that project in the build path. and plugins. We'll cover two other ways of running this jar. One is like outside the ID, like you can do a rel jar here, and this will generate a jar file here, which you can copy back to the Mifos X provider build libs, and for all the plugins you're developing, you can put them all in one folder like external, and you can add it here. And for executing that, so we have to use the Java class path command to add all of them to the class path, the var, and jar. And the name, class name, you will have to take from the documentation of the blog post. I have it right over here. So this will automatically pick up the plugins jar, and which means like all your plugin code can get executed. And for your production Tomcat, you can just drop, like once you start web apps and Mifos X provider gets exploded, so you can enter this, and inside webins lib you can just drop your plugins jar here, and it will get automatically picked up. Functionally, that's about it. A couple of other stuff I want to add while the server starts is like your plugin projects can have their own dependencies, but eventually the only thing you need to take care of is adding all of them to class path, which you can easily do in your IDE and production Tomcat. And for running it through the Java jar command, like we'll provide a batch file. So if you run the batch file, like the same command here, the CP, like for in Windows, this ext we cannot replace it with a wildcard. So we'll provide a batch file for that, which you can just run to execute all your plugins code along with their dependencies. For some reason, I think this GoToMeeting is really making my system slow. Anyone have any questions regarding the stuff until now? Yeah. Anyone has any questions till this part?
Okay.
So this is the pre-log. So this is the pre-log, then the different implementation we provided, and the post-hook code getting executed here. So none of the code which got executed for trade client is in Mifos X, but it's interacting with Mifos. That's about it. Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, Avik.
Yeah.
Basically, I think the goal is for one to be able to use this technology to actually be able to talk to Mifos X from another development. Will it aid in the issue of, because where I'm actually interested with the project book is when it comes to integration with SMS. Now, does that mean that one will have to basically write a Java app that would take information from Mifos and actually transmit that into the service provider's API or something like that? Is that what the hook implementation is supposed to do for?
Oh, just to give a bit of background on the work Avik has been doing. So earlier for Mifos X we have the facility of webhooks, so wherein we can call an external URL after an activity in Mifos, say after client creation, call an external URL and pass in the details of the changes which are during a client's creation. So based on that, you would want to asynchronously carry out some activity like sending an SMS, for example, and so on. But another use case could be where you want to synchronously carry out some functionality. Say, for example, before creating a client for a particular organization, I might want to do some special validation. Say the client's age needs to be between 18 to 26. He needs to have this many number of. Not before creating a client. Say, let me take a better example. Before creating a loan, I'd want to do some validation around the client who owns that loan. Say for example, he has savings of this amount, he has taken, he has a good credit history and so on. Or basically any code which I want to execute before a loan creation. Or also after a loan creation, I might want to do some post-processing. So the objective of this code extensibility is to enable specialists to write any kind of pre-processing and post-processing logic and be able to deploy it independent of the Mifos work. That is, you can write in this logic without having to touch the main Mifos code.
Compile, yeah.
And yes, and the other thing, and another thing you could do with this code hooks is to override an existing implementation in Mifos. Say, for example, you want to provide your own implementation for create client. You can do that using code hooks. The code extensibility framework which Avik has been working on. Avik, please correct me if I'm wrong, or please add anything else which you think relevant, so that everybody has an idea of what exactly this project is trying to achieve.
Yeah, this, like, most importantly, the pre-hooks is supposed to do validation checks for different clients, like stuff which will be specific for that client only. So what Denny was trying to do last week or this week is based on a client substatus field, he wants to add a hook for pre-loan on which he will approve, or based on checking a client substatus field. So in the pre-hook is checking stuff like whether the client has got any active savings account for the past 6 months or anything like that. So basically he doesn't want this code to end up inside Mifos X.
Avik, when you used client at the first time, so you meant a Mifos X tenant, right? So some tenant wants a particular logic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So just to repeat what Avik was saying, so for a particular tenant, you would want to execute some special logic before any activity. The activity can be any API which is supportable for Mifos X, like a client creation, loan approval, loan dispersal, whatnot. But for any activity, if you want to do some pre-activity checks and you want to do some post-activity processing, and you want to write some specific code for these, but you don't want to touch the core Mifos code base. So you can write this code externally and using this framework which Avik has been working on, and Mifos X takes care of calling the your pre and post code extensibility hooks. And the third one is also implemented, right? So in the you can actually override default Mifos behavior.
Yeah, so that feature is useful for things like for which Mifos cannot give any default behavior, like your national identity check which is like a PAN card for India, something completely different from other countries. So what Mifos can give is a dummy event, which should always be overwritten by someone if that tenant wants validation of those stuff.
Right. So probably what we'll be doing after this call is Avik has, I guess Avik already has some initial documentation out. Avik, probably can you share it on the chat log, so people can have a look at it. And sometime soon we will be documenting, first of all the problem, what code hooks, the code hooks extensibility framework is supposed to solve, and where we are currently. So we'll be documenting that and sharing with you sometime soon.
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
Yeah, Avik, now that I have you, the first implementation of this code hooks was actually looking at both SMS bridge and webhooks. Remember there was a time we discussed on the SMS bridge that the SMS bridge right now triggers on events that can be created, but there is no particular interface for you to actually tell it what the SMS message, the content of the message is going to be. I suggested we can use our template function that is already there, because I believe that where you associate, aside from associating an event, you can also associate a template that can be the composition of your message when it's going to send an SMS or website.
And Mike, I don't mean to... Oh, sorry, Vishwas. I'll let you respond.
Yeah, so I guess there are two ways of looking at it. First, so with our webhooks itself, without any specialization like the SMS bridge, with our webhooks itself, you can read out an SMS app. For example, Terence has an SMS app which works directly with our webhooks. So within his project, you should be able to go and configure the kind of message you want, etc. So our long-term goal is to, move the SMS or bridge, etc., probably out of Mifos. So we just want to provide support for your basic webhooks and have custom projects, like the project Terence has, which actually provides some usable functionality based on the webhook. And so this configuration should ideally be done, within these projects. So the SMS message would actually be configured within the SMS module Terence has, for example. If that makes sense.
Okay, thanks, Vishwas. And Mike, we'll have to take this conversation offline because we have the partner roundtable starting. So thank you, Avik, for your showcase. Thank you, everybody, for joining. And if you're joining the other call, that meeting room will be open in just a moment. So take care, everyone.